President Trump firing back as he has just 5 days to pay $454 million and put that up as a bond in his new New York civil fraud case.
Are you confident that you can pay the $464 million?
I built a great company, one of the greatest companies anywhere in the country, especially when it comes to real estate. Have some of the greatest assets in the world. And this is a rigged trial. This was a rigged trial by a crooked judge and a crooked attorney general. And we're fighting it out with them. We have a lot of cash and we have a great company, but they want to take it away, or at least take the cash element away. Billions of dollars in value, billions of dollars in properties, but they'd like to take the cash away.
Those assets under threat of seizure by Attorney General Letitia James, and begging the question, if this can happen to Trump, what would it mean for the average American and for other rich Americans who happen to be doing business in New York? Fox News legal analyst Kerri Kupec Urbahn joins us now. Kerri, this is unbelievable. The clock is ticking. What options are left for the former president?
He doesn't really have any. He has to pay this money by Monday. And Brian, this whole situation, honestly, it shocks the conscience. Because think about it. If New York can abuse the law in this way against Donald Trump and use the law against him in a way the law has never, ever been used against someone in the history of New York, and they can abuse it against the former leader of the free world, a still very powerful and wealthy man who has unlimited resources at his disposal, what hope does the average person have? And, I was talking to someone over the weekend, a woman who owns an elder care agency. She's not in Washington. She's not in politics. She told me she likes Trump. And I said to her, well, what do you think about all of these cases against him? And her immediate reaction was, they're not doing that to him. They're doing that to us. And I think that's a very real concern of Americans. And it should be, whether you're a Republican or an American. If you don't have a free and fair justice system, which in New York right now, we do not, you don't have a free country.
A couple of options. They say he could declare Chapter 11 bankruptcy. He doesn't want to do that. Insiders are also saying that Trump is thinking about doing nothing and letting things just see what's going on about what you just said. See the Attorney General walk over and say Trump Tower is mine, and think about it. We're not saying there was one verdict, but he's got a great shot at an appeal. If he wins the appeal and they have his assets and they sell it, he's just out of luck, even though he wins.
Totally. He loses his buildings. And, and let's talk about this bond for a second. This crazy $500 million bond. It's not like Donald Trump is a flight risk, right? He's not going anywhere. He's not going to, flee the country and take his money with him. There are no victims to repay. The banks were paid back. So it would be perfectly reasonable, and by the way, consistent with how courts operate, to work out something with him where they can reduce this bond or honestly waive it altogether. And the fact that New York is so unwilling to do that, it displays a blatant partisanship that is frankly very disturbing to me as a lawyer, to someone who worked at the Department of Justice, to see to see these judges and lawyers abuse the law in the way that they are against the former president. And
we'll see if he does nothing and she looks like a bully. Chapter 11 would give him some protection, or this judge will step up and say, listen, it's excessive. We'll knock it down to $100 million. He could do the bond at $100 million, but no bank will do it. And guess what? They're afraid of retribution of being the bank that helped out Donald Trump and being in New York. I thought that was really significant. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing. Politically, I think the president benefits from this. I look at his enemies. No one's comfortable with this. I look at Kevin O'Leary. Kevin O'Leary says, no, the word is out. You don't do business in New York. It's just not worth it. Let's say you have some views that are conservative, and that gets word to this mayor or the attorney general or the governor. Then you're in trouble. And it's just not worth it where you can do business in 49 other states or maybe another country. How about this? A judge, an Obama judge, has ruled that illegal immigrants have Second Amendment rights, so they can go get a gun. Tell me about the different wrinkles to this judgment.
And Brian, you can't make this stuff up. Okay, so there's a federal law in the books that says that people who are non-citizens can't possess firearms. Very straightforward. Makes sense, right? Common sense. We all understand this. Well, this judge in Illinois took a look at this law, and she declared it unconstitutional as applied to a particular illegal immigrant, because here's why. She said, well, the law itself is fine. It's constitutional. But, given some recent court rulings that, by the way, have nothing to do with illegal immigration, just have to do with firearms. But looking at those, I think we need to take a look back at American history and make sure that as applied to this gentleman, it's okay. So you know what she did? She went back and looked at the American Revolution. And apparently, then, some British loyalists were assessed, and they were determined to be non-threatening, and they were not dangerous, so they were allowed to have firearms to defend themselves at that point. So she said, because of that, this individual, he's not a criminal, he has a job, so you know what? He can have a gun, and it's fine.
Nuts. Marco Rubio talked about this last night. It's incredible. It's crazy. Kerri, we'll look to see what happens, and the president's got a few more days to find out what this ruling is going to be, if they're going to knock down the $400 million plus to maybe something more obtainable. Thanks, Kerri.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.